Welcome again. I'm alive and active, as you can see, and I got a new sign, Jesus and me. This topic is going to be silencing all of distractions. We're going to be talking at that, and we're going to be FaceTiming Nehemiah's life today. We're going to be seeing how Nehemiah also silenced off every single distraction that he faced in his life. And I know as teenagers, and me being a teenager, it's really hard to tackle off and silence off distractions before it even touches your heart, because if you let it to enter the door of your heart, it's going to create further on much pain. So today we're going to be looking at Nehemiah's life, as I already said, and to make this a lot easier and and this information to be a lot more digestible, I would say I'm going to be giving you guys some bullet points and just the major key points that Nehemiah did, and we're going to be examining from Nehemiah's life to our lives, to Nehemiah's life to our lives, so the past to the present we are all facing today. So if you guys have your Bibles with you, it'd be cool if you guys would turn to Nehemiah, and I'm just going to start talking to you guys now. So you guys probably already know about Nehemiah and his life journey. In the beginning of the chapter, it starts out with Nehemiah just, being concerned about his people, and he learns about the disaster that had happened and how the wall had been destroyed. And Nehemiah is the moment that news comes into his ears, he kneels down. He fully is in anguish. He's in tears. He's in deep distress, and we could clearly see that in the first chapter and even the second chapter. He starts to ask for confession. He starts to cry out, and basically what we could see here, it's how Nehemiah surrenders his entirety. He surrenders his life. He surrenders his distressed heart to God. Okay, the moment he hears the news, he doesn't go to the king immediately, and he immediately goes at God's feet, and he just surrenders himself once he hears about this. And really, the first bullet point is that he prayed. As simple as it sounds, it's not as that simple. But whenever we face, or whenever we kind of sense some distraction, sometimes people try to mock you, or whenever you sense that already coming, pray. Immediately pray. Surrender your life to God. Surrender your heart to God, so that no matter what pain may come and attack you, you're not going to feel anything. You're not going to feel anything at all. And the cool part is that here, we're talking about Nehemiah trying to rebuild that wall. But now in our life, it's not a physical wall. It's a spiritual wall. It's trying to say, hey, if you pray to God, it's going to be a lot more easier for God to help you rebuild your happiness and rebuild the wall of joy. And these are all spiritual walls that all are broken when pain starts to attack and bulldoze those walls and just break them down. That's the reality of pain. It starts to break down your strong walls. But when you surrender yourselves to God and just pray it out and surrender yourself, God will help you. And with his help only, he'll help you, to rebuild those walls. Moving on to bullet point. That was I put that as bullet point 0, and I know that kind of sounds weird, but that was the base. So we're going to start out with the base, and now we're going to go to bullet point 1. And first thing that Nehemiah does is that he understands the task that has been given to him. He prays it out, and God puts a desire and a will in his heart, and he understands that huge task that has been placed in his life. He understands the importance of it, and really, I would say this is a really important tactic to understand in our lives, because sometimes we just look at the situation on the face. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but we just look on whatever situation we face, or whatever distraction we face, we just look at on the surface of it. There we go. We don't dig it deep. We don't see, okay, what's the root of this problem? How do we solve this? We just look at it and we're like, oh no, I can't do this. Oh no, it's just gonna, and we try to run away from it, but Nehemiah actually attacks it. He attacks it at that very point, and he just goes at it. He's understanding all of these. And he goes with God's support, and that's the main thing. So whatever you do when you're trying to analyze your problems, just allow God to work in your life. Here's your best friend, he's your best buddy, and I can't emphasize that even more. But yeah, obviously, because this is the will of God, God himself is influencing the king to help Nehemiah out. God put in the king's heart, and he moved the king to, to help Nehemiah in this entire process, in this entire journey. And I've gone through this a lot. The idea of, is it really God's will for me to do this? Is it really God's will? Is it just my flesh? Is it just my intentions that I really want to do this? But if God makes a way, and if God has a plan for you, he will guide you. It's a very important saying. If God has a plan for you, he will lead you in that plan. He will provide you the materials. He won't just leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere, but you do have to pray. And that's where like prayer and the physical world really connect. Okay. Moving on to bullet point 2. We're talking about inspection. Okay, it's kind of also related to step 1, but step 2 is a deeper realm. Okay, we're talking about inspection. Nehemiah, in chapter 2, verses 11 and onwards, Nehemiah views the wall of Jerusalem. He inspects the problem, and he goes along with the Lord's strength and no one else. It's him and the Lord who are going along. Now, if you read in the words, it doesn't literally say Nehemiah and the Lord, but I'm saying, obviously God is always being with Nehemiah during this entirety of this process. So he's going and inspecting the wall. He's seeing the broken places. He's seeing some areas that need to be corrected. So in our lives, we have so many broken walls. We have broken walls of, broken families. We have broken relationships. We have broken lifestyles. All of these are huge problems, but we can't all face it just by looking at it at the surface, digging it, analyzing. That's not enough. You gotta inspect it, and you gotta start correcting it. Because once you start seeing the problem, analyze it, and then inspect it at a deeper level, and then see, okay, what are some areas in my life that I need to correct? So Nehemiah, he inspects that broken wall. So we need to inspect the brokenness that's in our life. We need to inspect it. We can't run away from it. We have to inspect it, and we gotta overcome it. Inspection will create that inspection will create like a stepstone for you, and you can get on that stepstone and overcome all your problems and all the distress that you might be facing. Okay. Anyways, I've been talking a lot. Number 3. When we're talking about silencing off distractions, in Nehemiah's life, there has been mockery. There has been a distraction of underestimation. And really, if you guys would turn along with me to Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 2, it says, having your Bible with me. Okay, Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 2, it says, "And he spoke before his brethren and the army of Samaria and said, 'What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they fortify themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they complete it in a day? Will they revive the stones from the heaps of rubbish, stones that are burned?'" And I'm literally giving you words out of nowhere, so I'll give you some background. Basically, what's happening here is that the process has been going. So Nehemiah's got these has men, and they're trying to rebuild the wall. The inspection's over. They're now fixing the problem, which is the broken wall. So now they're fixing the problem. They're rebuilding the wall, and all this is going. And then here comes our distraction. And here our distraction is Sanballat. Okay, and he's very furious. He's very angry, and he's saying, "What are you guys doing? And he's trying to divert them. Instead of saying stop doing it, he's trying to hurt their heart so that they themselves would stop doing it. He's saying, "Hey, what are you feeble Jews doing?" So this is a sense, this is a form of mockery. He's trying to hurt their heart. He's trying to push them out of the play. He's trying to push them out of the scene and saying, "You guys can't do anything. You guys are weak. You can't do this. You won't be able to do." And you just have to understand, when we're reconnecting to the present, that this is what the enemy tries to tell all of us. The enemy tries to steal, kill, and destroy. And in the midst of that, he steals our heart, and he implants all these lies, because he's a father of lies. He implants all of these lies in our heart that's saying, hey, no, you can't do it. You're weak. You don't deserve love. He implants all of these lies, which further on just divert you from the will, diverts you from, the presence of God. And really, so that's very, very important. But very, very important thing, on the other hand, is that, Sanballat says this. So we saw the problem, but then what does Nehemiah do? Okay, what does Nehemiah do? If you go to the same chapter, but you see verse 4, so Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 4, Nehemiah answers, Hear, O our God, for we are despised. Turn their reproach on their own heads, and give them as plunder to a land of captivity. And then skip to the end of verse 5. It says, For they have provoked you to anger before the builders. Now, really odd thing, when I was reading this, I was like, very odd. But here Nehemiah doesn't face Sanballat. He doesn't face the people around. Instead, he faces God. He faces God, the Creator. And he's directly taking that problem and shooting it up. He's not even facing the problem. He's not even allowing the problem to touch his heart at all. He is just giving it all to God. Important thing to notice is that this is what we should do in our daily lives. Sometimes we just try to face our problems. A lot of people run away from the problem, or they directly face it. But how you face it is very important. So here Nehemiah doesn't talk to his enemy. He doesn't talk to the problem. He talks to God, and he resolves it. And he asks for God's strength. It's the same as your strength. It's not anything compared to the Lord's strength. It's very important to know your strength is not anything compared to the Lord's strength. And then number 4, we got one more, guys. The fourth bullet point is that be watchful. Nehemiah started to understand that there is problems trying to, build up, right? There's a lack of security almost. So in our lives, when distractions and when things come, when opposition comes, when distractions come into our lives, what we got to do is that we always have to be watchful. How do we be watchful? Be watchful in prayer. So fight it off in the spiritual realm. Don't fight it off physically, because your strength is nothing compared to God. The title being Silence of Distractions. Silence your problems and give that problem directly to God. He will work it out for you, but be watchful in prayer. And really, we could connect this to, how in chapter 4, verse 22, they guarded the wall. Again, when we're relating back here, we have to guard our walls. How? Prayer is the number one way to guard the walls, the important walls of your life. The wall as in the will of God. Walls as in your family wall. Walls as if relationship walls. And walls are represented as strong, protection, right? You gotta protect it. And how do you protect it? Through security of prayer. And it's really mentioned in Ephesians chapter 6, and we're talking about the armor of God and being steadfast in prayer and always watchful in prayer, as it says in verse 18. It's very important. So we silence the distractions and where it comes from, but we directly hand it over to God. Moving on to the last bullet point, which is number 5, we're talking about traps. It's really shown in Nehemiah's life. In Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 10 through 14, there's a lot of things happening, so it'd be helpful if you guys would read it. What happens is that, this person here, I'll actually read it for you guys, at least one verse would be good. Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 10. So afterward I came to the house of Shemaiah, the son of Delaiah, the son of Mehabel. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. Who was a secret informer, and he said, Let us meet together in the house of God within the temple, and let us close the doors of the temple, for they are coming to kill you. Indeed, at night they will come to kill you. This was a trap. In fact, there was no one trying to kill him. In fact, it was him, the secret informer, who's actually trying to kill him in the house of God. And here, Nehemiah analyzes the problem. Very important. He analyzes it, he inspects it, he delivers the problem to God, he's understanding the problem, and guess what? He discerns that this was all a trap. He discerns and understands that this was all a fake, big old lie. So again, enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Somehow, through traps, through mockery, but you have to discern with the help of God. And I love the verse 11 and 12. It's so powerful when Nehemiah says, "And I said, should such a man as I flee? And who is there such as I who would go into the temple to save his life? I will not go in." Verse 12. "Then I perceived that God had not sent him at all, but that he pronounced this prophecy against me because Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him." And so this is such an important milestone that Nehemiah crossed over. It was a trap to take away his life and further on the big plan of God, which is to rebuild that rebuild that wall. And so really main thing is that, as it says in John 10:10, as I keep repeating, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Main thing that I really want you guys to see today is that God has a plan for each and every one of you guys. And I can't specify that enough, okay? God has a plan for every single one of you guys. And he who started a good work in you will finish it. He's the author and finisher of our faith. And so basically everyone has a plan, and God has a beautiful invitation for everybody. But in the midst of the path, there will be distractions, there will be mockery, there will be traps that could divert you, that could kill you, and that could destroy you. And so it's better to avoid these problems, look at it, avoid it, and totally give it to God. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this wonderful day. Bless people who are watching this, Father. And I just pray, Father, I've gone through this pain, and so I know how it feels. And I pray for everyone else who are going through pain, who are going through depression, who are being underestimated by others, and who are being bullied and pushed off. I pray that the God who saves and the God who stays for us, I pray that you will help them in their troubling times. Pray that you will touch their hearts and comfort them, because you are their Father. You are their heavenly, holy Father. And do a mighty work today in their hearts. Pray in Jesus' holy, precious name. Amen. Thank you guys. Please like, comment, and comment down below if you guys have any questions, or if you guys would like to say something, or if something touched you in this talk with you. And please subscribe, because it really helps, It encourages me if you guys like it and subscribe, so that I could also, strive hard and work with you guys. So thank you guys. Bye.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.